The cameras flashed, the crowd froze, and just like that, Hollywood and the sports world had a brand new obsession.
Oh, absolutely. It was instant.
Right. Welcome to Starscope Report, where we uncover the drama, the shakeups, and the viral scandals behind the fame. Today, we are doing a massive deep dive into a story that literally broke the internet.
Yeah, the timeline on this one is just wild.
It really is. We're talking about a $240 million quarterback, a fairy tale Lake Como wedding, and a sudden, explosive implosion in the tropical heat of the Bahamas.
And it all happened so fast.
Exactly. The internet has dubbed this the Bridesmaid Betrayal. And, our mission today is to pull apart this entire saga between Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott and his now ex-fiancée, Sarah Jane Ramos.
Right, because there's the gossip, and then there's what's actually happening behind the scenes.
We've got a huge stack of sources today. We're pulling from Sports Illustrated, Us Weekly, The Shadow League, and even actual legal filings from the state of Texas.
Which are fascinating, by the way.
Oh, we are definitely getting into the Texas family court stuff. We're going to map out the anatomy of this multi-million-dollar brand collapse and a viral twist that you honestly just have to hear to believe.
It's the kind of twist you can't even script.
No, you really can't. And make sure you stick with us, because later in the deep dive, we are going to talk about a public sighting that completely, totally derailed every single PR strategy in the playbook.
When a high-profile relationship disintegrates this publicly, the story isn't really just about the gossip, right?
Right.
The real narrative is found in the machinery behind the scenes. We need to look at how public relations teams, attempt to execute this controlled demolition of a shared brand.
A controlled demolition. I like that.
Yeah, but the problem is, what happens when human emotion just refuses to follow the script?
Well, let's establish the baseline first, because to fully grasp the sheer velocity of this fallout, you have to understand the height from which they fell.
The setup was entirely picture perfect.
Right. You have Dak Prescott, literally the face of the Dallas Cowboys, heading into his 11th season. He had just signed this staggering 4-year, $240 million contract extension.
Massive money.
Massive. And on the other side, you have Sarah Jane Ramos. She's a Florida State criminal science grad and a highly successful spirits industry executive for Southern Glazers.
Which is a huge distributor.
Huge. So she's a corporate powerhouse in her own right. This wasn't just a fleeting romance.
No, their timeline was aggressive and, honestly, highly intentional. They started dating in the fall of 2023.
Okay.
By February 2024, they welcomed their first daughter, MJ, and then in October of that same year, Dak proposes on a golf course.
Classic athlete proposal.
Exactly. And then by May 2025, their second daughter, Aurora, is born. So what you're really looking at is the rapid construction of a joint enterprise.
Yeah, they're building a family, but they're also merging two very valuable public profiles.
Right. And the crown jewel of that enterprise was supposed to be April 2026.
The wedding.
The wedding. A lavish, completely no-expense spared destination wedding in Lake Como, Italy.
Which is like the ultimate modern status symbol.
Oh, 100%.
But then we hit March 2026. Literally weeks before the wedding.
Yeah.
They decide to throw a joint bachelor and bachelorette party in the Bahamas.
Which, a joint party is already a high-risk maneuver.
It's so risky. But right in the middle of this trip, Sarah Jane posts this carousel of photos on Instagram. And the caption is cryptic but very pointed. It said, "I truly believe you can get through anything in life as long as you have really great friends."
Oof.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, the wedding is officially canceled.
See, that Instagram caption is the very first structural crack in the PR facade.
Yeah.
Because behind closed doors, when a crisis of this magnitude hits, the respective publicists and managers immediately pivot to damage control.
They have to.
Right? The goal is to contain the blast radius. That is exactly why Ramos's reps rushed that statement to People magazine, claiming the split was a, quote, mutual decision.
I remember that statement. Yeah, they went out of their way to specify there was no rockiness, no big argument, no dramatic blow-up.
I am calling a foul on that mutual decision narrative right now.
You don't buy it?
No. If it was truly an amicable mutual realization that marriage wasn't the right path, you don't call it off in the middle of a joint party in the Bahamas.
It's a fair point.
That timing screams that a specific bombshell was dropped. You don't just wake up between margaritas and mutually agree to flush a multi-million-dollar Lake Como wedding down the drain.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't dismiss the PR strategy as simply, lying to the public. It operates on a different logic.
How so?
Think of it like that controlled demolition of a skyscraper I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
You know the building is coming down, But the PR team's job is to bring it down inside its own footprint so the debris doesn't crush the surrounding neighborhood.
And the neighborhood here is, what, their careers?
Exactly. Dak's endorsements, Ramos's
Oh.
corporate career. A mutual decision statement is basically a legal and financial diffusing tactic.
Okay, that makes sense.
The problem is, controlled demolitions require absolute silence from the people inside the building.
And that almost never happens,
Right.
which is exactly why the leaks started pouring out almost immediately. Anonymous sources started whispering to outlets like Page Six and the Shadow League about this explosive argument in the Bahamas.
And the details were very specific.
Very. The phrase that leaked was ongoing infidelity issues. Sources claimed Ramos discovered Dak was using, quote, incognito social media profiles to message other women.
Like Finstas.
Basically. And there were also these really loud rumors that the whole thing fell apart over a prenuptial agreement dispute.
See, the prenup rumor offers a really fascinating glimpse into where Ramos drew her personal line in the sand.
Because she actually responded to that one, right?
She did. She ignored the infidelity rumors completely, but actively stepped forward to shoot down the financial ones. Yeah, she saw a clip from some pop culture show speculating about the prenup, and she aggressively responded on Instagram, stating, I think she said, this had nothing to do with the prenup. I hope we can put that rumor to rest now.
So by selectively denying the prenup rumor, she essentially leaves the infidelity allegations hanging in the air for the public to just assume they're true.
Exactly. It's omission as confirmation.
Wow. But, you know, when a multi-million-dollar brand implodes overnight like that, there is a hard limit to what the publicist can manage before the legal teams have to step in.
Right, because they have the kids.
Because they share two young children, MJ and Aurora. The emotional fallout immediately had to become this very clinical legal reality. And by the way, if you are loving these Hollywood and sports twists, make sure you're subscribed to our deep dives because we've got even crazier stories ahead.
Right.
But getting back to the legal side, this was intense.
It was. When you transition from the court of public opinion to the court of law, the rules change entirely. In April 2026, so literally just weeks after the split, Dak filed for custody in Texas.
So fast.
And suddenly the dry, bureaucratic language of family court is crashing headfirst into this tabloid drama.
The details of this filing really caught my eye. Dak requested that they be named joint managing conservators.
Right.
And I know that's standard legal terminology in Texas, but to the average listener, it sounds incredibly sterile. What does that actually mean in practice?
It's a distinct feature of Texas family law. So while other states use terms like, legal custody and physical custody, Texas uses conservatorship.
Okay.
Being named joint managing conservators doesn't necessarily mean the children split their time 50-50 between households. It just means both parents share the legal right and responsibility to make major decisions concerning the kids' lives.
Like medical care, schooling, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Medical care, psychiatric treatment, education. And Dak explicitly noting this was for the safety and welfare of the children. That's just a standard legal posture to establish his fundamental rights as a father early in the process.
Got it. But the stipulations attached to this conservatorship are what really blew my mind.
They were strict.
Very. Neither parent is allowed to remove the girls from the state of Texas without the other's written permission. And here's the kicker. The court documents legally bar them from using vulgar, profane, obscene, or indecent language with each other.
Yeah, the standard injunction.
But I look at this like an NFL unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. You have two people who just had a supposedly explosive argument in the Bahamas, and suddenly their private text messages are literally being refereed by the state of Texas.
I would actually challenge the referee analogy there.
Really? Why?
Because the court isn't there to throw flags on their personal arguments or punish the adults for bad behavior.
Okay.
These injunctions are structural guardrails designed specifically to prevent parental alienation. When the court orders you not to swear at your ex or disparage them, it's attempting to insulate the developing psychology of those two toddlers.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, the law doesn't care about their broken engagement or the canceled Lake Como wedding. It only cares about maintaining a stable, non-toxic baseline for the kids.
That makes a lot of sense. So the legal guardrails are up. Dak and Sarah Jane are navigating the system. The controlled demolition seems to be holding. Barely holding. And then a human variable completely crashes the system.
Oh, man.
If you are listening to this and wondering how things could possibly get more complicated, We are about to dive into the Fort Worth sighting.
This was the turning point.
It was insane. Mid-May 2026. Dak is spotted at a Pro Bowl Writers, a PBR World Finals event in Texas.
Now, from a purely branding perspective, attending a rodeo is completely on brand for Dak Prescott.
Oh, totally.
He's the quarterback of the Cowboys. He wears the boots. He wears the hat. The location was not the issue here.
No, the issue was the company he kept. Eyewitnesses told TMZ that Dak was getting very cozy with a woman named Caitlin Rance.
Right.
They're reportedly holding hands, acting like a couple, and leaving together. Now, you might be thinking, well, they're single. What's the big deal?
The detail that sent the internet into a complete frenzy is who Caitlin Rance actually is.
Exactly. She isn't a random fan. She is a former Mississippi State volleyball player, which is Dak's alma mater. But far more explosively, she was Sarah Jane Ramos's close friend.
Yeah.
She attended that infamous Bahamas bachelorette trip. She was supposed to be a bridesmaid at the canceled wedding.
It's wild. In the ecosystem of celebrity gossip, the friend betrayal narrative is literally the most potent accelerant available.
Oh, he's gasoline.
It completely overrides any nuance or context.
And the fan backlash was utterly ruthless. What I find fascinating here is how quickly sports fans will weaponize an athlete's personal life against their professional performance.
They always do.
They really do. The Shadow League captured some of these reactions, and one fan wrote, "No surprise, look at his playoff record. He's always making bad decisions."
Oh.
Why do fans immediately connect a sighting at a rodeo with his ability to throw a football?
Well, it's a textbook example of the halo and horn effect, and it's amplified by parasocial relationships.
Break that down for us.
So the Dallas Cowboys are the most valuable sports franchise on the planet. As the quarterback, Dak is essentially the on-field CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Right.
He makes $60 million a year, but his playoff record as a starter is 2 wins and 5 losses.
Ouch.
Yeah. When an athlete performs poorly in high-stakes situations, fans develop the horn effect. It's a cognitive bias where one negative trait or failure colors their entire perception of that person.
Okay, I see.
So when Dak makes a questionable choice in his personal life, fans seamlessly weave those narratives together. In their minds, his failure to read a defense on the field is psychologically identical to his failure to navigate his personal life.
That is brutal.
It is. They view him as a property that owes them a return on investment.
But I have to ask you about the strategy of this public appearance. Let's play devil's advocate for a second. Let's say they genuinely are just platonic friends. They went to college together. Maybe she was just checking in on him. Even if that is 100% true, isn't stepping out in public with your ex-fiancée's bridesmaid the ultimate unforced error for a guy who knows the cameras are always tracking him?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It demonstrates a staggering lack of situational awareness.
Staggering.
When you're navigating a scandalous breakup, your public appearances need to be meticulously calculated. Appearing with the ex-bridesmaid, regardless of the actual nature of the relationship, invites exactly the kind of speculation his PR team had been actively trying to suppress.
It shattered the mutual decision narrative entirely.
You shattered it.
And because the internet exploded, everyone involved was forced to react. And how they reacted tells us everything about modern crisis management.
Oh, the TMZ call.
The TMZ call. TMZ actually tracks down Caitlin Rance at the event. A reporter gets her on the phone. And her response, she literally hands the phone to Dak Prescott so he can deny that they're dating.
Which was a choice.
I look at that and see a total PR disaster. Yeah. If you are really just platonic friends, you answer the phone yourself. You say, "We're just old college buddies, thanks, bye." Handing the phone to the quarterback makes it look panicked. It makes it look like you are hiding something.
I see your point about it looking panicked, but consider the underlying power dynamic there.
Okay.
Handing him the phone might have been an attempt to let the person with the most media training handle this situation.
That's true. He is used to the press.
Right. However, the result was a spectacular backfire. By taking the phone, Dak assumed a savior posture, managing the narrative for her.
Yeah, that doesn't look great.
It implied a level of intimacy and complicity that you do not typically see in a casual friendship. It escalated the suspicion instead of quelling it.
And Rance clearly realized this because she tried to correct course later. She posts a video to her Instagram story, specifically tagging TMZ, and declares, "I think that this is the opportunity to make sure that everyone knows that I am single."
Right.
She claims she has a very active dating profile and was just there to have a good time.
It's a classic pivot attempt, right? She's trying to reestablish her independence from the narrative.
Did it work?
No. In the court of public opinion, the initial phone handoff had already done irreparable damage.
It really had. But the truly brilliant move in this entire chess match came from Sarah Jane Ramos.
Her response was a masterclass.
It was. How does she react to the bridesmaid rumors? She doesn't issue a press release. She doesn't have her lawyer put out a statement. Instead, she goes to Instagram and posts a screenshot of a song called Firm Friends from Drake's new album, Iceman.
Yes.
For those who don't know, this is a track entirely about betrayed friendships and people turning their backs on you. And she captions the screenshot with the words Scorpio King and a little pinching hand emoji.
This specific maneuver is exactly why modern celebrity communication is so complex. Look at the mechanics of what she accomplished here.
Oh, okay.
She managed to confirm the trauma, express her feelings of profound betrayal, and cast a massive shadow over both Dak and Rance.
Yep.
All without typing a single explicit accusation.
It's a loophole. She found a way to bypass the Texas family court order.
Precisely. Remember the injunction against using vulgar, profane, or disparaging language?
Yeah, the guardrails.
If she goes online and posts a rant about her ex and her former friend, she risks violating a court order, which could seriously impact her standing in the conservatorship.
Wow.
But a screenshot of a Drake song, that is pure, plausible deniability.
I was just supporting my favorite artist, Your Honor. I have no idea how the internet interpreted it.
Exactly. It is a hypermodern weapon that speaks volumes to her supporters, but remains entirely untouchable by a judge. It's an incredibly sophisticated way of reading the room of the internet while staying strictly within legal boundaries.
It is genuinely brilliant. But, beneath all the Drake lyrics, the TMZ videos, and the fans arguing about playoff stats, there is an undeniable grounding reality here.
The kids.
The kids. Dak and Sarah Jane are parents, and no matter how messy the adults get, the kids keep growing up. This brings us to a collision of internet drama and real-life responsibility.
Which forces a completely different kind of public interaction. The reality of co-parenting demands a suspension of hostilities.
It does. May 22, 2026. This is just a few days after the bull riding drama. It's their daughter Aurora's first birthday.
Right.
They throw a dinosaur-themed party, My Aurora, which is objectively adorable.
Very cute.
The photos hit social media, and what do we see? Dak and Sarah Jane standing together looking surprisingly warm and relaxed. Dak is holding 2-year-old MJ in his arms, smiling, while baby Aurora eats her cake.
A complete 180 from the drama.
Totally. Ramos posts an emotional tribute about battling to get her daughter Earthside. Dak reposts the photos, adding his own loving caption. Even Dak's lawyer gets involved, publicly praising their commitment to raising the girls in a supportive environment, noting they resolved their temporary arrangements amicably outside of court.
See, when the public sees these warm birthday photos, a large segment immediately assumes a romantic reunion.
They do.
They see the proximity and the smiles, and they assume the relationship is back on. But you have to look at the practical reality of their situation. This isn't necessarily a romantic reconciliation. No, it's a mature necessity.
It reminds me of the post-game handshake on the gridiron.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
You can spend 4 quarters exploiting every weakness, trying to dismantle the other team's game plan. The animosity is real, but when the clock hits 0, no matter how brutal the game was, or in this case, how brutal the breakup was, you still have to meet at the center of the field, shake hands, and show respect for the bigger picture.
Right.
In football, it's respect for the game. Here, it is respect for those 2 little girls.
That analogy holds up really well. The birthday party is the post-game handshake.
Right.
It doesn't erase the betrayal or the canceled wedding, but it proves that both parties recognize the structural necessity of moving forward.
Yeah.
And from a PR standpoint, it's also incredibly effective. It actively shifts the narrative from a messy tabloid scandal back to a framework of dedicated co-parents.
Which they needed.
Desperately. For individuals whose brands are tied to their reliability and leadership, this is the only sustainable long-term strategy.
So if you're listening to this, what is the ultimate takeaway from this massive stack of sources? This story is a sharp reminder of how fast a perfectly curated, multi-million-dollar fairy tale can unravel.
So fast.
It highlights the intense, almost unforgiving psychological scrutiny placed on public figures, where an unforced error at a Texas bar is instantly equated to a failure on the football field.
And it underscores the hard, unglamorous, emotional labor required when the dust settles.
Yeah.
The legal system can mandate that you don't swear at each other, But the parents have to do the actual work of smiling next to the person who just broke their heart, all for the sake of a 1-year-old's birthday cake.
It really is a modern drama played out between the strict boundaries of family court and the wild west of Instagram. Which leaves me with one final provocative thought for you to mull over. We have spent this entire deep dive analyzing the digital ecosystem, the cryptic captions, the weaponized Drake screenshots, the TMZ videos. But what happens when the children of the digital age grow up?
Oh, wow. Yeah, it is a sociological experiment we are watching in real time.
Exactly. Years from now, when MJ and Aurora are teenagers and they decide to Google their parents, they aren't just going to find Dak's passing yards or Sarah Jane's corporate achievement.
No, they'll find everything else.
They're going to find rumors of incognito profiles. They're going to find the Texas court filings demanding their parents behave. They're going to find those cryptic Drake lyrics and the photos of their dad with their mom's bridesmaid.
It's permanent.
It is. Will our permanent digital footprints become the heaviest, most complicated inheritance we leave our kids? It's definitely something to think about the next time you decide to hit post.
Absolutely.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.